you'll never break. That risk they say don't ever take. That feeling that keeps you awake. You can't let it go. No, you can't let it go. That voice keeps screaming in your head.
Different meditation techniques or reasons to meditate.
Because they had toxins back then. They were cleaning the system out during the days of the pharaohs, okay?
Recognize each other's uniqueness at each, because God has a plan for both of you.
And I can have a baby and I can raise a child without you. That's kind of a shot at the male spirit.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. It's Twyla Jenkins. I am the founder and CEO of the I Am That Woman movement. Happy Friday. We are moving right on down through this month. It is April the 8th. It's our second Friday in April. I pray that you have had a very blessed week. Thank you for tuning in. We have an exciting show today. I mean, like super exciting, because today is a day that history has been made. We know that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is now the next Supreme Court Justice, the first African-American woman appointed to the highest court in this country. Congratulations to the United States of America and every congressional leader, Senate leader that actually affirmed her to be our next Supreme Court Justice. Sorry about that. It's been a roller skate Friday. We have been busy, but that's what we do here at the I Am That Woman movement and retreat. We look forward to providing you with information, resources, and events to help those high achieving African American women achieve their next best life. What's next for you? I'm so excited because this month we've been praying and meditating, as we always do, starting our day with morning mindfulness with the affirmation of healing. Healing is so important to our minds, our bodies, our spirits. And so I always tell them every morning, Monday through Friday, when we are praying and meditating, what do you need healing in? It's not just your physical healing. Some people need healing in their emotional state of mind. So join us if you can use some healing in your body, in your mind, in your spirit for morning mindfulness. You know how it is. Every Friday, Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 6:30. We know it's early, but guess what? If you start your day with morning mindfulness, you should be able to go through your day with so much more ease and so much more restraint and so much more peace and love and joy. I've definitely been challenged this week and it has helped me. Well, today we're excited about our show. We're excited about Dr. Charm Timms coming with us to talk about sisters supporting sisters. If you followed the hearings in the news, if you have been following what historically happened today, you know that we have been supporting this sister. We continue to support our first African-American vice president, Kamala Harris, and not just them, but all of our ladies who are working tirelessly every day, making things happen in our community, knowing that African American women are supporting and have always supported the works of this country from the time we arrived until now, breaking glass ceilings, being the first to achieve, not because we haven't deserved it long before now, but that is the way that it is. So we're excited to have Dr. Charm Timms talking to us today. We are excited that she's going to be giving us some information about who she is and how she got to where she is, as well as the importance of African American women supporting each other. We know what the stereotypes are. Many of them, most of them, all of them, not true. We are women who can love on each other, support each other. That's what the I Am That Woman movement and retreat is all about. And without further ado, I am bringing her on the stage with me. Hello, my sister.
Hello, how are you?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Good. We are glad to have you here. Super excited. So, Dr. Timms, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a naturopathic doctor, comedian, stand-up comedian, actress, dancer, singer. So I believe in just kind of integrating everything. But naturopathic medicine looks at integrative medicine. So we look at the traditional medical model, writing prescriptions and things of that sort. But we also look at holistic medicine and nutrition. So we're able to kind of do more than one thing. There are many instances where prescriptions are just necessary. So I am definitely not into that against all other stuff. Just
Right.
well, I'm only going to do natural. But the nice thing about being trained in both, I consider myself more of a functional medical practitioner in the sense of we really want your body to be functional and optimal at its highest level. And really, medicine is moving more into what we call an individual medical model, which is it's individualized medicine. At what fits one person is not going to fit another person. You have to really, really tailor our needs. And so I think, especially in the Black community, I think that's important. So that's my my scientific and my training there, but I'm also an actress, a dancer, model, singer. So I've definitely integrated both sides of the brain, left and right hemisphere.
I mean, like both sides of the brain,
Yeah.
the creative and the one that's able to do that math and that science that
Absolutely.
requires you to be very gifted and talented in for your level of expertise in the medical field. Well, congratulations
Thank you.
on being double blessed. You got in both lines as God put us together. So that is a blessing on seriously. And what you do, you are so right. It's so important. I have found in my career that's very stressful. I do corporate meeting planning. There's so many moving parts, so many different personalities, so many different clients, and my stress level is always on 10. But what I know is if I go to my general practitioner, he's just going to put me on some type of anti-anxiety or, what I call stay calm pills, right? And
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. I mean, I've been in this career for over 30 years and I just have been like, there's got to be another way. And so thankfully, I found another way through acupuncture, through prayer, through meditation. But I think I'm gonna schedule an appointment with you, Dr. Timms. I want to go a little deeper in some of those alternative things. And so sometimes we just resort to, Western medicine. And like you said, it's not that we're not saying that prescriptions aren't good, but also the side effects of those things. And especially after long-term use, what else can we do holistically that can make us well? And so that's what we do. So we'll find out more about that. Thank you so much for sharing. And so now the other thing that I want to talk to you about is, this whole thing about sisters supporting sisters, right? And so we have seen, and I want to get your spin on when Justice Brown Jackson was in front of all of those congressional leaders, and she was just, getting hammered, right? And some would say, well, that's what they're supposed to do. And some would say it's just because she's a Black woman. What was your personal take on those hearings?
My personal take on the hearings, we live in a bipartisan world, Democrats and Republicans, and it's always been contentious, especially because of what was it, Merrick Garland. Garland was the nominee for that, Obama, came up with, and they didn't, the Republicans fought that tooth and nail, and he ended up not being able to be on the bench. And, I think the excuse they use is that, hey, this is an election year, so we don't want to do this during the election year. But then when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died and then Trump had to do his nominee, it was an election year. Yeah. So you're always dealing with this partisan politics. I think there definitely is an element of racism there, but I tend to have a different opinion of who, we live in a decadent veil, I think, of celebrity, and it really, I think Ketanji, we definitely needed a Black female on the Supreme Court. But I think what can happen, though, is it can become a panacea, all these Black firsts. It's great for self-esteem, it's great for aspiring, children to see like, hey, I can become this. But on the other hand, if you have the symbolic or the token, but the rest of the masses are still in, the lowest net worth of all the races, the average white family has $100,000 in net worth, and the average Black family have $1,700 in net worth. So it doesn't, having a Black Supreme Court justice is not going to give us the economic power that we really need. It's great for symbolism, it's great for self-esteem, but I am more on a practical level of we really need more tangible things, and especially economics, to really lift us out of what we, so that we don't become a permanent underclass.
I think I agree with you 100%. And I think, having an African-American woman as the first to join this high court, because, the systematic racism that is oftentimes ignored on these policies. And I think some policies from the systematic racism has created the divide between, just like you just said, that economic divide between the household incomes of African-Americans or any minorities and the household incomes of whites. And so whether it's been in housing, whether it's been in education, whether it's been in our communities and the type of business loans that we can and cannot, and I've been a business owner for 20 years and I've experienced that, right? So how can my income or how can my household income increase if, our traditional lenders is not, providing support to our Black and brown businesses to be able to expand, to be able to grow? That then, of course, allows us an opportunity to provide employment for Black and brown peoples. That, of course, then provides economic opportunities, to your point. And so what I'm hoping is that as we do see more Black and brown justices, not only on the high court, but all of these other courts, that they also will be able to address some of these systematic racial policies that have been put in place that's held us back. Again, I think that's been in education. I think that's been in housing. I think that's been in unfair unemployment. And so whether you're talking about affirmative action that goes to the high court or education like Brown versus the Board of Education, all of these things have been a part of creating that divide. So prayerfully, having her and others on even lower courts will help to right that wrong. So do you think that having justices and having more lawyers and having more, whether they're African-American men or women, but in the judicial system, which a lot of times is where those policies and procedures are being enacted because of laws. So it kind of takes us even to the whole voting rights. So I've been talking for a minute, so I'm gonna let you take a spin on but to your point, what can help us create some synergies to help close that gap in our economic disparities?
Having lawyers and judges is not going to close the gap. It's not going to close the racial wealth gap. It's not going to close the Black racial wealth gap. It seems that our administration finds money for any other group. They're just, Congress just voted to send $13 billion to the Ukraine to help them fight the war. When, the Ukraine has a serious Nazi problem. I mean, and if you look at the video of how they were treating the Black African students who were trying to leave there, they were letting people with their pets leave that country before they would let Black humans leave. So they found money to send $13 billion over there in that war to help with the allies. And there's money for Asian hate. There's money for LGBT rights. We have not had a comprehensive economic policy specifically for Black people, and having judges and lawyers, though it's great. And it's, like I said, it's nice for self-esteem and everything. And it looks good, but it is not concrete. And it does not replace policy that is specifically for Black American people. I think that having executive orders specifically can be of help, but Biden has already said that he is not going to do anything specifically as far as Black executive orders for Black people. He said he is not going to use that as a tool. Congress could vote for things. They have let HR 40, which is a reparations bill, sit and languish And for over 20 years, Representative Conyers had to die, and then I think Sheila Jackson Lee is heading it now, and they just finally had hearings on it 2 years ago. Now they're saying they have enough votes for it, but that's just to study reparations. It's not even to give reparations.
Sure.
And so we really need to be looking at policy to be able to get what we really want and really get something for our vote. Politics is supposed to be a tool of exchange, and we're supposed to get something for our vote. And that is why I think Biden's poll numbers are so low right now amongst Black people. I think he was very wise, and he used Ketanji Brown Jackson as a political. It was a political tool. They have even said this on some of the news shows, because his polling numbers are so low with the base and the moral base of the Democratic Party and the voting base of the Democratic Party, which is Black people, specifically, even more specifically Black women, but it's really Black women and Black men. But he said, okay, I'm going to energize my Black female base by voting for a Black, or appointing a Black female judge onto the Supreme Court in hopes of getting those poll numbers up. We've got midterms coming up. So he was smart to do that because people are excited about it. But it doesn't negate the fact that this is not going to close the racial wealth gap in any way.
So closing the racial wealth gap, even though that's not necessarily what our show is about, but we've started down this conversation, and it's a good conversation and one that we need to have. So I think even in sisters supporting sisters, so my neighbor is running for judge, and we know that all of these positions, right, are whether you're a judge or whether you are a local alderman or whether you are a state senator, a U.S. senator, congressman. I think to your point is that we also need to, we being our community, also needs to know the power of our vote, because the only reason and how these things are going to get changed is if we go back to sisters supporting sisters, right? So we've seen what's happened down in Georgia with Stacey Abrams galvanizing the vote and literally changing the direction of who got elected. And so can sisters support sisters more, for more of us to become a voice and be able to make change that will close the gap?
Well, I definitely believe in participating in a political process. A very good friend of mine, attorney Wendy Williams here in Chicago, is running for judge countywide, and I have been helping with her campaign. I'm driving around with her magnetic stickers on the car. I'm getting honked at all the time, because she's running for judge, and I hope that she gets it. She ran before and she lost a few years ago, but we're prayerful that she will win this time. So I definitely believe in participating in the political process. Looking at what's going on in California, they have a reparations task force, and that's because people formed a block and really advocated for this. And now it looks like California, they're on track to become the first state in the country to get true reparations. I mean, there was something here in Illinois where they gave like a $25,000 housing voucher in Evanston. But that was really just specifically for housing. But California Governor Gavin Newsom appointed people to this task force, and they just voted on who is going to receive the qualifications, being that you have to be a descendant of an enslaved person and also or a free person in 1900s in California. So participating in that way is very important. What I think is using that California example, they say, okay, we've got the voters, we've got the people who have formed these political groups and said, we're going to concentrate on an issue. This issue was reparations. And they put the pressure on Gavin Newsom, and he in turn got this task force going. And that was a lot of grassroots people, Black men and women, coming together in support. And really one of the congresspersons who was really critical for this, I cannot recall her name, but she's a Black female. She was the one that really spearheaded this. So definitely, I don't think we should not participate in the political process, but definitely we've got to require something for our vote and support one another. Black women supporting Black women is, this is what we've always done. We've done this since slavery. We've done this since we were, ripped away from Mother Africa. We've supported one another. And I think that's a testament to our survival as Black women, that we have been so nurturing. I remember, I think it was Michael Bays, and I went to a talk of his years and years ago. It was like 20 years ago. I'm dating myself. And he was really, he really talks about relationships a lot. And he said, if you notice, Black women have Essence magazine and Ebony magazine. They have all these magazines and things and support groups and sister groups and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, this is in Black men. Do you have a Black man's magazine that doesn't have like, video vixens on the cover, Instagram girls on the cover? So this is what I love about us. We really, we have a code. We have a sisterhood code that is very strong amongst Black women. I could go anywhere, and I travel a lot, and I can travel anywhere. And, it's going to be that little sister girl, hey, sister, I'm looking out for you,
Yes.
Kind of deal. And I think I remember, it's an unspoken thing. And I love it. I remember when, it was really hard to get COVID testing kind of earlier on in the pandemic. And I went to go get tested somewhere, and I wanted a specific test. And they were trying to give me pushback, and I identified myself. I'm Dr. Timms. And it was a Black nurse there. That Black nurse said, she's a doctor. Give her this. Didn't you just hear her say she's a doctor? And I love, because wherever we are, we're going to take care of one another. And that sister said, y'all not going to mess with my doctor sister over here. Take care of her. And she was mad about it. I didn't know her from now. I'd never seen her before. But we all cousins. We all cousins and sisters. So
that's right. That's right. Well, and even Justice Ketanji, she said the same thing. I read an article where she was saying when she first was at Harvard, and an African American sister leaned over and whispered in her ear, I think it was persevere or something like that. And so we do have to be mindful, because Dr. Timms, there's so many stereotypes of African American women, and that we don't support, we don't affirm each other, that we don't love on each other, that we're crabs in a barrel, and we're always trying to tear each other down. And let me tell you, I've been in business for 20 plus years, and I've certainly have experienced I would say the not so nice African American women, sometimes in leadership, that at first I thought was mentoring, but as I got older and started to be in a position to mentor, I kind of looked back and recognized and realized that wasn't quite mentorship, right? And so that was a bit more, just coming at me, and some have done it literally because of the color of my skin. I've had to endure that. And so for the women out there who have not been supported by other African American women, what would you say to them? I've been in situations, unfortunately, because I grew up in an all-white community, right? So even when I went to college, because I didn't have that experience of coming from an African American environment or from like an urban environment, I was very, very, very ridiculed. I was not accepted by my Black sisters. I just was not, because I was so used to always being around white people. It wasn't different for me like it was for them, right? And sometimes we've had that experience where we've been the only one, and another sister comes in and it's not supportive. So what would you say to that Black woman who's not supporting other Black women in maybe on her job or in her career, or who's not reaching that hand out to support?
Who hurt you, sis? Okay, that's
seriously.
I think we talk about toxic masculinity, but there is toxic femininity, and there are some toxic Black women out here that are raising daughters and sons, and it's very unfortunate. And there are generational curses. But what I always say to people is find a mentor, because I didn't grow up with a father. I had an absent father. My mother has never never had been married. And I didn't grow up seeing a husband and wife nuclear family structure. But guess what? I had mentors. I had friends in high school and friends in middle school, friends in college who had both parents. And I would go over there to dinners and sleepovers and things, and really see what that structure looked like, and seeing what mentorship looked like. And I really can attest to the fact that I've always been an intelligent person. I've always been highly gifted, but having those mentors and seeking those mentors out in my life has really helped me. And for people who are, ones that are being nasty and vindictive, and here, I'm not going to help this other person, I think that comes from scarcity. I really do. Thinking like, oh, okay, well, if this Black woman is she's my competition, instead of we can get together and blow this out the park and be supportive to one another. I've been in many places where I've been the only Black person in the room. And especially I went to medical school in Arizona, and in Phoenix, Arizona, it's about Phoenix is 1% Black. No, actually, the state of Arizona is 1% Black. Phoenix is 3% Black. so definitely there have been. I think I tell people that when I first moved there, I think I saw another Black person every 3 days, and I'm not even exaggerating. So you get in those environments, and you can forget yourself. You can forget, oh, I grew up in the church, and I grew up around praying sisters and going to lock-ins and vacation Bible school, and it was the church sisters and the nurses that when people catch the spirit, they fall out. And you got the nurses with tongue to usher boy, step team, and all those things. We saw Black women have positions and things, and so I think people forget about that. And maybe some people just wasn't raised right. I'm from the South, honey. Some people wasn't raised with home training, but you can't let that hurt you just as a human being. Even just everything aside, just as a human being, you cannot allow the negativity that you may have experienced from 1 or 2 people cloud you and color your whole life, because then you miss out on so many blessings.
That is so true. And Shiree brought up something that's so true about toxic entertainment, especially in Real Housewives, like in reality shows. So it seems like it's not something that I watch, and I know some people just call it like mindless, TV watching, and when I just don't want to, focus on anything, I just want to watch something mindless. But I think, in media, that's a whole nother conversation with me and Black people in media and entertainment and music, that we're not going to go down that road today. But to her point about how Black women have been portrayed in these reality shows, and to me, I think more so Black women than even other races, about the vindictiveness, I'm gonna pour a drink on you, I'm gonna call you out your name, I'm gonna snatch your hair out. What do you think about how media and these reality shows portray African American women?
Well, I mean, to be a devil's advocate a little bit, on these housewife shows, honey, even the white girls is fighting on Beverly Hills. Housewives then you got the stunt queen, what's her name, Jen Shah, and the one, they got federal cases on them because of the all kind of fraud they've been doing. So they've got some unsavory characters. Then what is the Shah Sunset? One of the guys just got arrested. Now the show is canceled. I keep up with all the reality stuff. So you're gonna see, you see it in a lot of shows. But I will have to say that some of the Black shows really have portrayed us in a negative light, and especially these Mona Scott Young shows. And she's a Black woman, and she's made her bread and butter with negative stereotypes of Black women with these love and hip hop shows and things like that.
Right.
But anybody should look at it. No, when you have reality TV can be nominated for writing. So it can't be reality if they can get nominated for an Emmy and win an Emmy for best writing. Right. So it's really just on what kind of character they're deciding to portray. And unfortunately, we just live in a society now where it's a fast food society. You tweet, you get your Uber real quick. You go on the dating app, you get your sex real quick. It's just, everything is just fast food. And so definitely reality shows do not reflect, they don't reflect reality.
First of all,
right. But yeah, I do think that some of those shows have really dumbed us down and have really contributed to some of these negative stereotypes. But again, some of the these blogs and these sites and stuff, a lot of them are actually not even run by Black American people. A lot of these people are from other cultures. They're Black people from other cultures, and we're not raised in this culture. So they don't have that sense of solidarity of, hey, my parents went through the civil rights movement. We have a code and a dignity and respect that we have to show as a people. I think it may be, hey, I'm from another culture and I don't identify. I identify with my cultural group. Mona Scott Young is Haitian. The media takeout guy is from Uganda. I identify with other Ugandans. I identify with other Haitians. I don't identify with maybe Black Americans, so I don't have that that second. That voice in my head say, hey, I shouldn't portray my people like this, because they may not look at us as being of their people because they're from another culture.
Right. That is so, so true. Never even thought about it like that, but that's so true. And it's easy for you to just, project whatever you want to project, whether it's even of another minority culture, and certainly those outside of our own culture or outside of our race.
Mhm.
It's easy for them to portray these stereotypes that
Mhm.
African American women are always, so defensive and,
Well, yeah, 'cause you don't see any Haitian people on Mona's show acting a fool on her show, so that she's not going to put her own culture on there and make it look bad. So, but it's easier to do it if it's somebody else's culture, and it's unfortunate because Black American people, we look at everybody in the world, hey, Black, but but you look at other groups and they are Black people. But I think Lupita Nyong'o said she didn't know she was Black till she got to America, because in Africa they don't say, oh, so and so is Black, because we're all Black. They look at, oh, well, you're Yoruba, you're Igbo,
Yeah.
you're Alu, you're Watusi. So they look at it as tribes or country groups versus color. Where the good thing, that came out of us becoming enslaved is that we were a mix of ethnicities, and we don't have this tribalism that they have. We were like, no, we're being oppressed because we're Black. We were brought over here and we formed our own group, and we don't have this tribalism.
Right. So Bonnie, Beatrice, Kathleen, Shai, thanks for joining. If you guys have questions, please let us know, and definitely make sure that you ask Dr. Timms anything that you want to ask about how sisters support sisters. And then we have just a resource. This is something that I used in a show before on Black mental health resources. That's a link that you can use just to find out more information about Black mental health and some resources that we have there as well. Dr. Timms, just tell us a little bit, even about your life's journey. How have you, been able to be supported and or not? Any personal experiences where an African American woman, if it wasn't for her, you talked about mentorship and the importance of either having mentors or finding mentors. How has that personal journey been for you? And even I know I've asked, like literally went up and asked someone, sister, I would love for you to be my mentor. She said, okay, email me. Okay. She was in the industry. I was just starting my little career. I emailed, I called. My sister never called me back. And I know she was probably busy, but tell us your own personal stories about mentorship and what that means.
Well, I was just very blessed. I'm from the inner city of Houston, Texas, in a working class neighborhood, lower income. But we had values. We definitely had our values. But I did watch, I watched the crack epidemic come through my neighborhood. There'd be a street called, so I grew up in Houston, Texas, in Independence Heights, which is a neighborhood in Houston, which I found out at the age of 10, at the age of about 12 years old, I found out that Independence Heights, Texas, which was my neighborhood, and I thought I just lived in the hood, was the first all black city in the country incorporated. In the state of Texas. And it was one of the first in the country. And so because they got tired of being discriminated against and chased by the Klan and everything. So Black people started to buy parcels of land in this area of Houston, and it became a city. And I did not know that. I did not know that. But when I found that out, it just gave me such a sense of pride. But I was from the hood. We had values. My great grandmother, her mother was a slave. My great grandmother was a sharecropper. She had a 3rd grade education. She had to spell the words before she would read them. She'd be like, HOW, how, ARERU, and she would have to spell them. But baby, she made sure I was fed. We used to have the best lunch in the school. The teachers would beg for our lunches, to fix our lunches and things. And we grew up living right next door to her, and just watched this remarkable woman. And she was such a strong. And she started taking care of us when we were 80. When she was 85. So she died when I was 15. She was 101. And that was really the person that really made such an impact on my life. And she told me on her deathbed that I was going to be a doctor. I had no interest in medicine, none. She said, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to figure out what's wrong with me. And then, she died a day or two later. And I never forgot that. And then I'm into genealogy a lot. And I started looking at the genealogy and talking to family members and things. And my cousin, who she also raised, because she was like a grandmother, you take the kids to her, she's gonna take care of the children.
Yeah.
And he said that she was a maid for a doctor for her whole career. I never knew that. And I just thought about it, and it just really, it just touched me, because I said, while she was cleaning this white man's house, I wondered, did she pray, can one of my children or their children's children be a doctor?
Absolutely.
And I remember when I was my first year of medical school, I had to do a work study job. I had to clean the lab. And I didn't know when I was cleaning the lab as a medical student that my grandmother cleaned this doctor's house.
Wow.
So, that was inspiration to me growing up where I grew up, knowing that, hey, this was the first Black city in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And then finding out about my grandmother. And then I always had people who reached out, and it wasn't that I had to ask for a mentor. I'm from the South, so maybe, people are just more generous in the South and more friendly, but they saw what they saw in me. They saw that drive, and they said, we're going to help her. And I've always had mentors. Even to this day, I still have mentors to this day.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. And for the young woman out there that maybe needs a mentor, or even needs to understand why it's important to have a mentor, speak to that young lady.
You have to I'm a huge believer in manifestation. And if you haven't found who you're looking for yet, write it down, and you write down everything that you want, exactly what you want. Be very specific about it, because God hears that. And you pray and meditate on that, and God will send the right person to you who you're looking for. You have to be, I think you definitely have to be open. And also, there could be blockages in your life that are and represented by people who are blocking you from your blessings. And there came several times in my life where I had to say, you know what, this person no longer reflects me anymore. I've always surrounded myself with positive people. But sometimes some riffraff came through, and you had to say, whether it was a relationship or even a friendship, this person doesn't have my best interest at heart. And you got to be brave enough, because there are some people who are just in these toxic relationships. And I'm not talking about romantic relationships, even just friendship, because they're afraid to be alone. And I've never been afraid to be by myself, because I'd rather be by myself than be around people who would be dragging me in the filth.
Absolutely. Rather be by yourself and healthy and whole in your own mind and in your own spirit than somebody tearing you down and not lifting you up and encouraging you. I agree with you 100% about manifestation, about writing what it is. I think that's the most important thing. Even though you didn't know and you didn't have any desire to be a doctor, your grandmother spoke something into your life. And I think, even though she was your grandmother, there's people who can speak into your life, because that is how this right here, the I Am That Woman movement and retreat, even got started for me. Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, the wife of Reverend Jackson, spoke into me just from an idea that I had and I was doing, and she encouraged me not to let it go. And I didn't. And that's how this seed was planted. And that's how the I Am That Woman movement and retreat got started and where I am today. And I think, like you said, if you are just intentional about knowing what it is that you want in life, and God, and just praying on it, writing it down, meditating on it, God will send you the people, the resources, the financial wherewithal. I'm sure when you even decided, or however that path went, where you decided you were going to go to medical school, I'm not sure the grandmother had left you a estate plan that said, oh, here's
no, she didn't.
Here's $500,000 or $1 million for you to go to med school. But being focused and just, being ready to receive what you knew that your grandmother had planted into you. It's amazing that how God and how the universe would just line it all up. Even with you saying that, I had no idea that my grandmother had cleaned this white man's house, who was a doctor, and perhaps that's why she spoke it into you. And then here it comes fast forward, and here you are cleaning the labs, and that has been a part of how you got to where you was. So it's amazing. Life is amazing, and I'm sure your journey has been amazing as well. I want to say thank you so much for joining us today and pouring into us about the importance of sisters supporting sisters. I appreciate you supporting the I Am That Woman movement and retreat with your words of wisdom today. And if anyone wants to get in contact with you about what you do, are you taking clients or patients, or what's your practice like?
Well, I'm currently not taking patients, but what I do have my YouTube channel that I would like to promote. And I do have a cookbook that several Black female holistic health doctors and I rewrote this cookbook together. It's called The Quarantine Kitchen. I will put the link there. And then if I put the link in the chat, you can post it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll put the website for my book, and then also my YouTube channel. That's where I go and really talk about pop culture from a medical perspective. I also do show reviews. That's why I know about all these reality shows and stuff. I do my review on 90 Day Fiance. This show fascinates me.
I do like those shows. I like the ones that actually make you like 90 Day Fiance and Married at First Sight, and what's the one on YouTube? Love is Blind. Like, if it has some type of psychology to it, those are the ones that.
Oh, you can find some, because this is something with the psychology. But I like to, my YouTube channel is called Charm World. My first name Charm and then World, and I put the link there for the YouTube channel. But I just did a very short 10-15 minute video on this whole Jada Pinkett and the Will Smith slap. I talked about the alopecia, where she's dealing with the alopecia and what causes alopecia. And this is a real big problem in the Black community, because we have, specifically with Black women, because we're using all these different hair products, and even just some of the braids and hairstyles and things can cause alopecia. So I break down in my latest video, I used that incident as far as the Oscar slap, and everybody's talking about it. I said, let's talk about alopecia. I did another one about Wendy Williams, talking about what could, when everybody thought she had dementia, it's looking like she doesn't. But I talked about, what could cause dementia in a person that young? So we talked about possibly COVID and some of the other things. So I like to take a little bit of pop culture and put the medicine with it. And it's entertaining, but it also is a learning opportunity.
Well, I'm sure that's a part of your acting side, a part of that creative side that you are so blessed to have. And, last week I had a guest on and we were talking about the slap, and so, as it was a hot topic. And so, but also, even with Will, everyone having their personal spin on it. But to your point, and for me, I said, and you yourself being a comedian, for me, I said, I think anyone's disability should be off limits to the mic, whether it's a comedian or, what have you. I don't think anyone should ever have to be attacked because of their physical or mental or emotional well-being, because it does hurt. I mean, we're all humans, whether you are a famous person or not. We're all humans. And so, and I've had to deal with that a little bit. And actually my protective style has helped to grow my hair back. And so, so I'm so glad that you took the time to share that part about the whole slap. It's like, what about the well-being of the African-American woman and her hair? Because it is something that we deal with. And a lot of people probably don't even know what is alopecia and, what's the big deal. And, our crown, I think when it comes to us, it's a little bit different. People want to touch our hair. People want to say how you do that. I was in a meeting with an all-white staff, and one of the girls and one of the leaders was like, "Oh my God, Twyla, you have braids. I just love when you guys have braids." And I was like, "Thanks." I just kept it moving. I just kept it moving. But
Sherry asked, "Do I do virtual appointments?" No, I do not. But I am developing a course, and if you follow my YouTube channel, then I'll be talking about the course that within the next 30 days, I will be having a health coaching course that breaks down like everything that I think you should know about things to maintain your immune system and maintain your health. So that's going to be a course that I will be having available very soon.
Good. Well, we'll definitely share that on our network. We'll even have some information on our website that we are rebuilding. So I want it to be a portal of resources. And Dr. Timms, you definitely can provide some of those resources. I think it's so important for us to be healthy, mind, body, and spirit. What would you say in closing? What do you want to share with our audience today?
We didn't get to talk about mental health too much, but I have a Black therapist, a Black female therapist. I absolutely love it. Sisters, take care of yourself. Take that bubble bath. Get your oils, your incense. Take a trip. Do something good for yourself. Get your mental health together. Prayer alone is not enough. It said faith without works is dead. So please get into therapy, because there's so many of us that are carrying around so many things that we just need to release. So please do that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. Don't go away. I'm just going to tell the audience about some of those resources, and one being the I Am That Woman retreat that's coming up in October 26th through the 30th. I hope you'll be able to join us. So it's a time for you to get away. It's a 5-day, 4-night retreat. We're coming home. When I say coming home, we launched in Mexico for 2 years in 2018 and 2019. This year we are in Marco Island, Florida. So Dr. Timms, I hope you will be there. We're at the Hilton Marco Island, and we're going to have many speakers come and pour into us, starting with prayer, meditation, and exercise. And like you said, faith without works is dead. You should be a vendor. Have your books there. Have all your information there. I got to check out this cookbook. I'm a pescatarian, so I learned to stop eating eggs because that was affecting my respiratory system.
Oh yeah, a lot of mucus in those eggs. Yeah, we got some good recipes in the Quarantine Kitchen book. Yeah,
I cannot wait to get a copy of that book. So ladies, if you need a therapist, definitely reach out to us. We can help guide you there. If you need some information about holistic wellness, we can definitely guide you there, and definitely provide more information from Dr. Timms. Kathleen Blade Owens, thank you so much for recommending her.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Amazing. I know Kathleen's so amazing. She finds us the best people to interview. I tell you.
Well, Kathleen and I met acting because we filmed a public service announcement for rape victims, and I played a Haitian immigrant who was raped. So that's how Kathleen and I didn't meet on the medical side. She met me as an actress.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she is a wonderful actress. Well, thank you again. Stay backstage for 1 minute. I just want to say thank you, but we'll be right back with you, Dr. Timms. Definitely appreciate you. So I hope you all enjoyed Dr. Timms today. She's amazing, provided so much information. We talked about a wealth of things, not just how sisters support sisters, but also about our mental well-being, our emotional well-being. We talked about the wealth gap and the disparity between African Americans and other cultures. So she is just full of information. You all get her cookbook, reach out to her and make sure that you follow her. And as soon as she has her program and health coaching out, we'll be sure to give you that. Right now, we're going to do our video about promoting the I Am That Woman retreat that's coming up in October. So here you are. That is our commercial about the I Am That Woman retreat. You can register now, www.IamThatWomanRetreat.com. Only requires a $300 deposit. I'm telling you guys, we're going to sell out. I know it's only April, but we're only going to take 100 women with us this year. It's an intimate affair, and we want you to be there. We'll be announcing our speakers soon, and they're going to be amazing, just like they've always been. Susan Taylor, we've had Mickey Taylor, Regina Bell, and so many others, Linda Johnson Rice. I can go on and on. Just go to our website, www.IamThatWomanRetreat.com. Check it out. Register now. You can also provide a donation to us. You can text to donate. We are a nonprofit organization, and we are here supporting programs. If you joined us for our Women's History Month celebration, thank you. If you provided hair, we will be dropping those off this Wednesday at the domestic violence shelter at Family Rescue, helping women, African-American women in need. That is what we do by providing resources. And you can help us to do that by just Zelling us. No donation is too large or too small. You can Zell us at info@IamThatWomanMovement.com and give so that we can give. That's what we're here for. All right, that wraps our show. I pray that you have a blessed weekend and that God continues to give you all that you want to manifest. I pray that this broadcast has helped you to live a better life. Bye-bye.